All right, my man, state your name. Let them know you on Nicovelli TV.
My name is Ron Lowe. I'm from Queens. I'm on Nicovelli TV.
That's what's up, man. Nick fan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long you been a Nick fan?
As far as back I remember, probably 7 or 8 years old. My uncle and his brothers and uncles in the room, you know what I mean? With the Bears, watching the Knicks game, talking about, you know what I mean? They want to see them go to the gold, you know what I mean? So I became a Knicks fan naturally as a youngster, following, you know, my uncles and them.
Okay. Who's your favorite player?
Right now or then?
It doesn't matter.
That's tough, man. That's tough, man. Honestly, I got a few through the years, you know what I mean? But I'm a Knicks fan first. I was a big Patrick Ewing fan.
Okay.
Even when he missed that shot.
What,
you
the
know
finger
what I mean?
roll?
Yes, the finger roll. And I'm at the TV wishing that he dunked, screaming like everybody. But can't take away from his legacy of who he is.
So what would you say to those that say that Pat disappointed the city of New York? He let us down.
Listen, they had a wonderful year. You know what I mean? They made it past the playoffs, got deep into the finals. What more can you ask when you're going up against somebody like MJ? You know what I'm saying? Of course, we wish.
Well, we didn't play MJ. I mean, he did eliminate us.
Yeah.
I mean, but that finger roll happened against Indiana.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. But as you see that year, like, Indiana didn't make it either. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I felt that way until the Pacers got knocked out as well. You know what I mean? So,
but
kind of.
Let's elaborate more on Pat Ewing.
Okay.
What you liked about his game?
He was a horse down low. I never saw a big man, well, until Elijah Wan came in the game too. So light on his feet. He was good close to the rim. He had a good mid-range jump shot.
Okay.
And it was just traditional basketball, you know what I mean? Remember, this was the era where the big man was still in play, you know what I mean? I mean, as far as his legacy, I think he's one of the best centers that ever played the game.
All right, now what do you say to those that say that Pat Ewing took too much outside shooting and he didn't play inside the paint as he should?
Well, when you look at the game now we're about to head into 2020. That's the new game right now. They looking for a big man that can shoot, that can have a mid-range game. I thought it was good being versatile at that time because not only could he take it to the rim on you, he can step back, fade away, and he can also drop that mid-range. So why eliminate that if that's a part of your game?
Okay, moving right along. John Starks.
John Starks. Oh, man.
That's another one, man.
I mean,
the gift and the curse.
I remember
With him,
when
he did the 3 for 18.
Yeah.
That was horrible, man.
I remember when, like I said, after that game, like, everybody wanted him in the dumpster. You know what I'm saying? The whole block, everybody. Matter of fact, I saw that game.
Speaking of the 3 for 18,
yes.
Talk to me.
I saw that game in a pool hall in Harlem. So, I mean, if anybody don't know about New York, Harlem has most of the biggest hardcore Knicks fans in the world. I would say Harlem and Brooklyn. And it's different from, you know, when you watching the game with all of the old timers or whatever, they showing you things that you probably don't see. But yeah, he had a horrible game, but he's still a solid foundation of the Knicks, of that foundational Knicks, you know, that I grew to love. You know what I mean? So it's like in a moment, yeah. Right. In a moment, you're mad. You wish that, why did you pick up a basketball? You know what I mean? But in hindsight, they played the hardest they can play. They did the best they can do. You know what I mean?
I mean, he did get a poster out of Jordan.
Come on.
Horace Grant.
How can you take all that away? You see what I'm saying? And I guess I know how human nature is. You know what I mean? But it's a thing called hindsight, and that's why I say he got to go down as one of the best Knicks that ever played the game. John Starks.
John Starks.
Yes, I got to give him that. Because he had tenacity. No one had as much heart as he was. Like you said, he went up against, he wasn't scared to take down Jordan. Nobody on that Knicks team, they wanted blood. They was not fear of no one, especially not the Bulls, not the Pacers. And like I said, it was just a different era. You in an era with the guard Jordan. That's the hardest thing.
Now, was you in love with John Starks' defensive game?
Defensive, like I said, I thought Davis was a better defensive player.
Hubert Davis?
Yes, I thought he was a better defensive player
Than John Starks?
than John Starks.
Why you say that? What play have Hubert Davis made that made you?
Well, when he plays certain type of games, like when they play Charlotte, and I watched him play Charlotte against Muggsy Bogues, his lockdown game against a point guard like that, I seen arms out. I seen his stomach to stomach. You see what I'm saying? I seen him real low to the ground. John Starks, he didn't have that game defensively. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I would take away from John Starks' game as far as the backcourt. I don't think that his defense prowess was on point as far as what they needed, because they was going up against some top. You got to remember, you got Gary Payton, you got Muggsy Bogues, you got Kenny Ann, you got some real point guards that's coming up there, and if your defense is not textbook, they going to the rim.
Now, I know some people that beg to differ.
Okay.
Starting with MJ, Michael Jordan himself.
Okay.
Said that John Starks gave him fits on a defensive end.
But that's what I'm saying as far as that team against a person like Michael. When they played the Bulls, it was a different thing going on in their head. They saw blood. You see what I mean? They looked at them as they only an arch rival as far as the East Coast was concerned.
Right.
So if John Starks is playing against the Bulls that night, he's gonna play defense different than he playing against a Charlotte or something like that. Like, that's what I seen from Starks, because that's what I would complain about watching those games.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Moving right along. What about Charlie Ward?
Charlie Ward. I call him the pretty face assassin. There was games where, were very mediocre. It's not like he was a A-list guard or whatever, but he was perfect for that team. His chemistry with those boys was good. He was a good passer. Charlie Ward was a good passer. He was an underrated passer that a lot of people's not giving him credit for. I seen Ward throw a pass across the court with a bounce pass. He bounced the ball, and it damn near bounced over the offender to his teammate. I've never seen nothing like that in that time frame.
Hey, you seen Charlie Ward do that?
Charlie Ward do that in a game. This is a game. Not practice, not scrimmage, not all-star game, a game. So, like I said, Knicks is known for having good talent. It's probably not A around the league, but they tenacity as far as all the way up to when Isaiah Thomas started coaching that squad that he had.
Right.
There was a lot of talent on it, you know what I mean? But as far as them being able to have that pedigree
right,
that was needed, I think that was, as far as the administration, the coaching, they needed a better coach and all that. But that was a talented squad. That squad I'm talking about was early 2000s, I believe.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So just showing the contrast. When you put on that Knicks jersey, it's hard-nosed. It's very blue-collar. And we had a lot of players that was that way.
Okay.
And, I just got to give her props. Holly, come on.
Talk to me about Chris Childs. Was you a fan of his game?
Chris Childs was good.
I know he had hard too. He smacked the shit out of Kobe Bryant.
That's what I'm about to go to. Like I said, you're dealing with the Knicks, and when you have those type of rivals, like now, like I said, back when Starks and them was playing, Jordan was the rival. Now when we're dealing with a team like Childs, Jordan is not so much dominant. You got the Lakers that's in there now. So now the Lakers is like, okay, this is the arch enemy. This is the team. So you seen those type of games with that Knicks squad against those Lakers? Like I said, it goes down. Chris Childs, Kobe got into it. You know what I mean? But that's the type of heart that you see on the Knicks team when he's playing that type of competition. You know what I mean? I think Childs was a pretty good point guard. But when we're talking about Hall of Fame, I can't bring him up. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about John Starks or Mark Jackson, those type of point guards, the Childs and Wards come like a tier under those guys to me. I've never seen anything in Childs like, all right, you deserve this A-list credit that I'm going to give you. You know what I mean? But again, heart, blue nose, you know what I'm saying? Not afraid to jump for the ball. That's what I liked about Chris Childs. He was a good passer, a good penetrator. But again, it's like we couldn't get over the hump.
All right. My man, Charles Oakley, the Oak Tree.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Talk to
See,
me.
when you're talking about Oakley and these guys like that, these are the, like when I said my uncle, my pops and everybody, that's the team that I fell in love with. You see what I mean? Like when you watch Oakley play, you thought it was a chance. Knowing that he was good friends with Jordan, he didn't care about none of that on the court. When it was on the court, you was his enemy. That's the game that I noticed from Oakley, like straight beast. Not as far as a beast like Mason was, because Mason was a different type of beast. But Oakley was like a bruiser, man. He was getting in a dogfight with you. It was not going to be easy down low. If you've seen a team that came through easily, first game, I'm talking playoff series now, you're not doing the same thing on the second game. He's not having that. He was an enforcer. That's Oakley. That's what the word I get from when I see Oakley.
Did it break your heart the way he was treated in Madison Square Garden by James Dolan?
In the Garden of all places. In the Garden of all places.
Or because he voiced his opinion on how the Knicks...
Again, like I said, this is how Oakley's always been. The Garden knows that. New York, that's why we love Oakley. Like, that was so disrespectful and they violated him. I didn't expect that from them. I didn't expect that, from anybody in the league, really, but any organization from the league, especially from a former player like that who gave so much to your city. The people love Oakley. So for them to do that in the Garden was so disrespectful, and I felt like no matter, what we do, we bring to the game, we still deal with these type of incidences even in the game. And even in the sports of basketball.
Now, you said something earlier about Anthony Mason being a different kind of beast than Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
Describe that.
Like, okay, when I'm saying menacing, I'm saying like you don't even got to see him do nothing on the court. Just the look of him, you seeing fear in the other team. I've seen games where people who usually penetrate, like there was a game where the Knicks played the I don't know if it was the Blazers. I believe it was the Blazers. It's the West Coast, the Blazers. And they was coming down to the hole and they was getting knocked down. Not only that type of beast menacing like that. This dude was I believe probably 6'5", 6'6", 2 and change. And he was very light on his feet. He can handle the ball from the baseline and bring it to the rim. He can dish it out a good pass down low. And sometimes he can take a miracle jump shot, a three. His game was not only to enforce, but he also had skills with it. And I've never seen that in a player who was supposed to be there to make sure things go right, team don't get over fouled by the other team, rebounds, of course, block shots. He was more than just that player. Like I said, he had talent with him, you know what I mean? He was a good passer. He was a good... he had a good handle for his size to the rim. And like I said, he put intimidation in other teams. And I think that was really his purpose.
Okay. Now, some say that this what cursed the Knicks as far as having money in the organization. Your boy, Allen Houston. Do you think he was worthy of the $100 million that the Knicks gave him?
I'm going to tell you how I felt at that time, and I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I think he deserved it. I mean, you're dealing with one of the best power forwards that ever touched the ball. I mean, this guy could have easily been on the Jordan teams as far as Ray Allen's and had his own Jordan line sneaker with Jordan. He was that good of a player. Allen Houston was probably one of the most underrated players in N.B.A. history. I don't think that Allen Houston's going to go down the credit he deserves. Of course, at the end of his career.
So you saying Allen Houston was worth the money?
He was worth it. He was worth it. Think about it. Look at the teams before and after. He was that constant on that team because we had Latrell Sprewell, another heavy hitter. But without Houston, you wasn't making those playoffs without Houston. He was the definite baseline shooter. He can go from three-point line to the rack in under 3 seconds. His mid-range jump shot was impeccable. His passing was unbelievable. Again, we suffered from being on that on a coast where we was dominated by the Bulls. I mean, until Jordan was finished getting his rings, I don't really care how talented the team was. It was going to be a big obstacle. But our team, like I said, we came the closest. We came the closest to making an imprint those years for the East Coast. It wasn't just the Pacers, the Bulls. The Knicks meant something when Allen Houston was on the team. When Latrell Sprewell was on the team, the Knicks meant something. You know what I mean? And I had a lot of pride in being a Knicks fan when they gave Allen Houston that money. He deserved it.
Okay. That's your opinion.
Yes. Well, just my opinion.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong. That's your opinion. Now, I'm going to talk about a player that was on Golden State Warriors at the time. Choked the coach out. No other than my man.
Yes.
Latrell Sprewell. Was
Make
you
it.
in love with his game?
I liked his game. I might not like the antics. Like, I didn't agree with the choking the coach out. But he was a good player. Again, another player who's probably not going to get the credit he deserves. Remember, at the time when Latrell was doing his thing, this is when we was getting a stigma in the N.B.A. called the bad boys, you know, with AI and his braids, you know.
Yeah.
The attitude that Latrell Sprewell had was homeboy, was from the hood. I can relate to that. You see what I'm saying? Especially me coming out of high school. I had the braids and all thing. I was on the court every summer in the gym. He looked like us, you know what I mean? And that's how he played. Again, I wish that it was an unfortunate situation with his coach or whatever like that, because, you know, in the corporate world, things like that, it would affect your status as far as where you end up as far as legacy. And I say that was the thing that really held him back. Who is a better jump shot shooter than him in the time frame in that era that the Knicks had? He could run up the court, gun up the court as fast as anybody, as fast as any other guards. Get to defense as quick as any other guards, and especially on the offense, he was so elusive. His size made him elusive. He can jump shoot from anywhere. Yes, he had a lot of attitude, but that helped his game. He was a good defensive player as well. It wasn't just offense. I don't feel like he's going to go down with the legacy that he deserves as well.
Yeah, man. Okay.
That was unfortunate because he was one of the. Remember, when he was playing the Knicks, he was in every All-Star game when he was on that team. I just want to put that out there.
All right. Xavier McDaniels, the X-Man.
I mean, well, what can we say? Like I said, I'm coming from a generation of hard-nosed, blue-collar, you know, basketball players. I can't, you know, critique his game too much or say not, you know, too many bad things about the X-Men or whatever. He had a decent game. He's pretty good.
He had Scottie Pippen's heart too, man. Michael Jordan had to slap Pippen up, man. Tell him get out there defend that man.
I mean, there was a few times a few players like that would do that to teams like the Bulls or whatever.
But I can't front. Scottie Pippen rose to the challenge.
He did.
He did. Like you know, he came. He overcame his obstacles.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw that out there. Go ahead.
And to me, he reminds me, when I deal with Daniels, sort of like the old player Bernard King. If anybody remembers the old classic A-list Knicks player, Bernard King. You know, you might want to go look him up and check out his highlights or whatever like that. But yeah, that's what I see. He wasn't really, to be honest, a Knicks player that sticks out to me throughout time. You know, when I name up the other names like Starks, Sprewell, this and that. But he was good for what he was there for. I can't really, you know what I mean, say nothing bad about him.
Now I'm gonna talk point guard. Was you a fan of Marbury game?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a be honest.
Talk to me about Marbury.
I went to see the Wheelchair Classics at the Garden.
Right.
My man Stephon Marbury playing, Allen Iverson playing, Mark Jackson playing. So this was like heaven for me. You see what I'm saying? And that's when the first time I got to see Stephon Marbury game in person. Because I used to watch it on the team when he was in college or whatever.
You was very impressed?
Impressed. I'm saying I've seen this in real life. Not courtside, but close enough. Because like I said, I never seen Marbury game in person. He's very good. Like, the TV does him no justice. Remember, he coming in a time where you got prominent point guards or whatever, Allen Iverson, and these guys warred in college. You know what I mean? So I know he knew what to expect. But when he came to the league, you can't knock or take anything from Stephon Marbury.
Would you say? Oh, God, I'm
Okay,
sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt. Go ahead. You
I
can't-
mean, I seen him. He had good defense. I seen him take the ball from one end, come down to the other court, and just shoot a three like it was a layup. Like that's how good this kid was, and he was like before his time.
do you think his game was just as good as Allen Iverson or better?
I'm gonna say just as good. I'm not gonna say better, because they had a lot of the same gifts, and I don't want to just shit on AI. I don't know if I can curse. I don't
Nah,
want
you
to
good.
just shit on AI just because it's Stephon Marbury. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say just as good. I'm gonna say just as good because even though they don't got the hardware really to prove it, well, you know my man Stephon Marbury went to China and got his hardware, whatever.
Yeah, he's
Shout
the man
to
out
that
in China.
Shout out to that dude. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the games. If we dealing with, if anything, I could say Marbury had over the AI. I would say he was a better jump shooter than Allen Iverson. I'll give him that. Allen Iverson was a good spot up shooter or whatever like that, but that really wasn't his game as far as 3 points. Stephon, I can say he had 3-point repertoire in his game. As far as them being better than each other, I'ma say just as good.
Okay, and last but not least, somebody you grew up with, man.
Mentor.
Mentor. No
I
other than point guard Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson.
What you
Queens,
like
New
about his
York.
game?
First, I'm gonna just say about the person first. You know what I mean? Outside of basketball, I grew up on 200 in Murdoch. Around the corner on 201st, him and his brother Escalade, you know, he's a street ball legend, rest in peace. They used to have their family games and play stickball around the.
Oh, before you finish, rest in peace to my man Anthony Mason too, man. He's no longer here,
rest
man.
in peace to A. Mason, man. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, nah, it's all
Influences
good, but
on
let's
that.
give, shout outs and
Yes, sir.
and pay some
due
respect.
Due respect.
Continue your story, man. So you grew up with Mark Jackson.
I used to go, there was a park from my neighborhood called O'Connell Park, OCP. The best ball players you ever gonna see coming up that never even played the game. I'm not just saying that because that's my park. We had legends that really came through there. But speaking of Mark Jackson, I would see him do a lot of runs in that park. A lot of tricks and stuff that you see him doing in the game. I seen him do this in the park and do it better. You know what I mean? Until I seen point guards in my generation, he was the best point guard that I ever seen. Shout out to Jason Kidd as well. But Mark Jackson was the best point guard I ever seen until, players in my era like Rayford Austin started coming up or whatever like that to the mid-90s and late 2000s.
What memorable plays have you seen Mark Jackson do on the Knicks?
On the Knicks?
Yeah, that just got you open like, wow. My man
Well, I'm
took
gonna say a proud game. I remember this is, I don't know if they was in the finals, but I know it was in the playoffs. It was the Pacers against the Bulls, and Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller was doing their thing. It made me proud in that game to say that I was from Queens, and Mark Jackson, his tenacity, his lockdown defense, the game that they actually beat the Bulls in, Mark Jackson had a lot to do with that. He just made me proud. I mean, that's the best game I ever seen. I don't know what number that game was, but it was. I think it was East Conference Finals against the Bulls.
Did it hurt you when he went to Indiana and played alongside Reggie Miller?
Me being a personal fan of his, it hurt us, that we lost him as a point guard in the Garden. But as far as career, I know he had to do what he had to do, and I think he had a better look as far as getting a championship or anything playing alongside of Reggie Miller. And I think those was his best years.
All right, man.
Honestly speaking.
With that being said, man, I want to thank you for coming on Nicovelli TV as we break down the history of the New York Knicks, 90 Knicks basketball.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Nicovelli TV. This is Ronlo again from Queens signing out.
And we out. Peace.